As a defense attorney, I've represented many people who, if they weren't poor or they had received a higher education, may have taken a different path. As senator, I will propose a scholarship for those whose struggles are less academic and more financial. Let's keep our university full, not our prison. I'm Thomas Fisher. I not only approved this message, I wrote it.
Paid for by Tom for Guam, Drake Diaz, Treasurer.
That this environment is for anybody that wants to try something new, whether it is CrossFit or powerlifting. We offer a safe space for someone who's never been athletically inclined to try something that they've never done before.
Day Candleland. Today's Friday, August 12th, and this is our afternoon daily crime report with Johnny Rosario.
Very funny. Yes. So the not funny part is I think Johnny's getting sick.
Yeah.
And I think so if I sound like I have a bit more testosterone, it's because I think I'm getting sick. I didn't want to say the other word that I normally say because we might get flagged by the sensitive people and whatever, but you know the word I was gonna say. But yeah, I'm feeling. Well, good thing it's the weekend.
Yes.
So I can be miserable and not have work. This couldn't happen like on a Monday or something. I'm not gonna go get checked for COVID. Screw that. I do not want my nose and my brain impaled by a Q-tip.
What is it? It's 5 days now to isolate.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. I'm like vaccinated 20 times though, so I think I'm fine. Anyway.
The first thing on the list is birthday shout out to Marianne Flores.
Happy birthday, Marianne.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday to our loving mom, Marianne Flores. Enjoy your day. Love your kids and daughter-in-laws and grandkids and your mom.
Aw. I love that. Happy birthday, Marianne. Now from good news to bad news. Remember load shedding? Well, apparently it might be back tonight. So according to a news release from the Guam Power Authority last night, GPA's PD8 generator tripped due to a defective transformer temperature monitor. That was a foreign language to me. There's going to be power outages probably. Let me read the release though, in case some of you might understand this, which I won't. GPA isolated some of its circuits to help avoid an island blackout and stabilize the grid. My power went off for like 45 minutes when I was trying to sleep last night.
And that didn't help you sleep?
Well, I mean, it was one of my naps yesterday. It was like at 5:30 p.m.
Because I noticed I can't sleep unless everything's off now. I don't know when that started happening, but I don't like it.
Oh.
I usually like noise.
Yeah, I like noise. I like watching Superstar. Anyway. Continued load shedding was prevented and affected customers were restored after reserve generators were placed online. This morning, Friday morning, GPA's Cabris 2 unit tripped, making 45 megawatts unavailable to the grid and causing power interruptions throughout several areas around the island. Customer circuits were all... Thank goodness there's a generator in this building. I love the DNA building.
Me too.
Thank you, DNA building, for being so wonderful. Customer circuits were all restored 20 minutes after they tripped. GPA operations personnel are working to find the root cause of the Cabris interruption, which appears to be another tube leak. Repair work on PD8 continues as well today. Well, they're not going to say brown tree snake? You know, brown tree snake? No? I thought it was going to say brown tree snake. Guam's power system experiences its greatest demand. This is the explanation why it would happen at night and why it doesn't. It's not going to happen during the day when you're at work and the kids are at school. It just, like, the physics of it doesn't work out that way, okay? Guam's power system experiences its greatest demand during the hours of 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Load shedding may be necessary to prevent an island-wide outage. A schedule of area outages has been formulated and will be made public on GPA's social media pages and on our website by 3 p.m. today. Should the need for load shedding arise, power interruption will last for 1 hour. Don't believe that. GPA... Don't ever believe that. Or don't ever hold out hope that it's just going to be 1 hour. Okay? You're going to be disappointed. Like when they say 1 hour...
Guarantee maybe?
I prepare myself for 3 hours. So that if it's 45 minutes, I'm like, good job, GPA. Mm-hmm. You got this.
Yeah.
And when it's like an hour and a half, it's like, well, they said an hour. You know? It gets to 2 hours and you're like, GPA is kind of sucking right now. And then when it gets like 2 hours and 15 minutes, that's when I'm on the phone.
So I was going to say, you start calling.
You have to add the 671 now. I don't remember the number. GPA General Manager John Beneventi says GPA is doing everything to meet the island's power load, including placing GWA assets on standby generators. GPA is also working with large customers to isolate from the grid during peak time. It should be noted that a load shedding schedule is provided to assist customers to plan in case an outage may occur, but does not mean an outage is imminent. When they say plan, they mean if you have appliances that are very expensive, you might not want to have them on during the time that the outage is planned, so that, you know, a spike or a brownout or whatever doesn't screw up your appliances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all the other times.
Because all the other, Eric is saying that when all the other times when it's unscheduled, what?
Unscheduled power outages. What about our appliances then?
Eric's getting mad, even though he doesn't have his microphone on like he's supposed to. He's saying, what about all the other times when it's unscheduled and the power outage happens and then all of our appliances break?
Oh.
I like John Beneventi. I like him a lot. I think he's one of the better executive branch managers, as a matter of fact. And I think he's worth every penny that we pay him as ratepayers. That's my humble opinion. Can you imagine if the administration ran Guam Power Authority? We'd be load shedding all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, the only time we wouldn't be load shedding is during election. It'd be like, we fixed the power. 4 more years.
We saved you.
We saved your lives, man.
You would be dead
without us.
If it wasn't for us.
And speaking of death, that's a good segue into our crime report. We're not going to get to the murder yet. We're going to start with a crime that's alleged to have happened in Saipan. On Kandit, I have to admit, the Marianas Variety has a better story than Kandit's story. There are more details, and that's because they spoke with the victim, Marianne Borja, and they also spoke with Rowina Ogo, although she didn't tell them much. Well, anyway, So we started getting messages from various sources, including an eyewitness at Herman's Bakery this morning, that at around 9 a.m., Marianne Borja and Rowina Ogo is the ex-sister-in-law of Governor Ralph Torres, and the person in charge of his offshoot campaign, Legacy 5 Times or Legacy 5X. And so, so I've asked, what does that mean? And they tell me that it's because he's won 5 elections. It has nothing to do with like shirt sizes or anything like that. It's he's won 5 elections. And so that's what well, anyway, how many tangents are we going here? So Rowina Ogo and Marianne Borja, the details are still a little sketchy as to who was there first and who arrived after. But they got into a physical altercation. And There apparently was some scratching involved because a picture of Miss Borja started circulating, showing that she had these gigantic lacerations to her chest area. Look at that. That's going to scar, poor thing.
I wonder if those are fake nails.
And so, my favorite. So the comment by Miles King. When you go to Herman's for sweetbread but get pound cake instead. It's a light moment for people to have because, and I have to, I'm going to commend Miles King for making light of a moment because even though Rowina Ogo told Mariana's Variety that this was not political, this is happening in a political season. Miss Borja is a supporter of Palacios Apatang. Miss Ogo is a vehement supporter of Torres Sablan. The rival teams, Miss Ogo and Miss Borja, used to be friends. And this is happening at a time when tensions are flaring in politics, and it's not just in the CNMI, but it's also in Guam too. And if this had anything to do with politics, that's it makes it even more shameful and more hurtful because come on, people. I mean, come on. Over politics. Mm-hmm. We can argue, we can disagree, we can even dislike each other, but to resort to violence, and I've got to. I think we all got to have a kind thought for both of these women, including Miss Ogo. Whatever caused her to allegedly have this outburst. She has children, has young children, as I understand it, and there are people. There are people who have told me that she's actually a nice person, and so. I pray for her. I pray for her. I don't know Miss Borja at all. I don't.
She just looked like she wasn't asking for.
We don't know.
Trouble.
We don't know. You're talking about how she looks in the picture.
Yeah.
The Nat Messi look in the picture.
I always fall for that Nat Messi look. I swear. I'm a sucker for that. I'm like, okay.
Anyway, Miss Ogo was apprehended by police. According to an eyewitness report, she was escorted out the back of Herman's by a police lieutenant so that her apprehension would not be seen by the public. Apparently, according to the Mariana's Variety story, she was held on $1,250 bail, which she posted, and by lunchtime she was having lunch at Jay's restaurant.
You're having a press conference?
I don't know if it's a press conference. Anyway, so that's some crime news coming out of the CNMI.
Okay, so the next one up is from Guam, Andrew Bacau. So these are yesterday's magistrates because they weren't, we were late. On or about August 10, 2022, at about 1:05 a.m., officers responded to a walk-in criminal sexual conduct complaint while at the Dedido Precinct Command. At that time, the officer met with the victim. She told the officer that a male known to her, identified as Andrew Castro Bacau, had sexually assaulted her. She told the officer that sometime in 2021, but did not remember the exact month, she was taking a shower at her residence when the defendant entered asking to use the bathroom. After he used the toilet, the defendant opened the shower curtain. His pants were down and his penis was exposed. The defendant took her left hand and placed it on his penis. She attempted to take her hand away, but he held her hand on it. He, on several occasions, asked her for kisses. Based on the foregoing, there is probable cause to charge Andrew Bacau with second-degree criminal sexual conduct.
On or about August 8 at about 1:30 a.m., officers responded to the Dedido Plaza regarding an unidentified, unresponsive male at the scene. Medical personnel responded to provide aid and transport of the male to the Guam Regional Medical Center. The male, later identified as Kieferston Cam Aiken, he's the victim, appeared to have suffered multiple stab wounds throughout his body. The victim passed away soon afterward from his injuries. There were injuries that also looked like knife wounds. The investigation revealed that Allison Joe, Defendant 1, Cyrus Jonas Matthias, Defendant 2, L. Sun Joe, Defendant 3, and Darrow Isti, Defendant 4, went to the T All Friends B Lounge. While there, a Singwimasa Billion, a.k.a. Singy, assaulted Defendant 2. Defendant 1 was seen going to the back of the truck they had used to get to the establishment and get a Hawaiian sling, described as a 3-foot spear with a 3-pronged tip to use on singing. The investigation also revealed that Samson Ishmael Shapusi, aka Bush 1, Shapusi, aka Bruce, or Defendant 5, that's the man you see on the screen, was in the same parking lot and grabbed the Hawaiian sling from Defendant 1. The victim was seen by his vehicle. Defendant 5 saw him and said, "What are you looking at?" The victim then attempted to get into his vehicle but was punched by him. Defendant 5 used the Hawaiian sling and speared the victim. Defendant 5 pulled the sling out. He was seen attempting to spear the victim several times. Defendants 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were then also seen by various witnesses beating the victim while he was on the ground. Defendant 4 admitted to assisting Defendant 5 in beating the victim. He identified himself in surveillance video as one of the individuals beating the victim. The surveillance video also showed the others beating the victim. While Defendant 5 was interviewed soon after the incident and denied involvement, but officers observed fresh injuries to his left elbow and right hand knuckles, indicating a recent altercation. Based on the foregoing, there is probable cause to charge Samson Ismail Shapusi, aka Bush I Shapusi, aka Bruce, with murder as a first-degree felony in violation of 9 GCA subsection 16.40 A1 and B, and with a special allegation of possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of felony. Murder as a first-degree felony, same thing, and aggravated assault as a second-degree felony, etc., etc., etc. Other charges of aggravated assault were levied against Allison Joe, Cyrus Jonas Matthias, L. Sun Joe, and Darrow Isti.
Next we have Jason Bloss. On or about November 3rd, 2021, officers spoke to Victim 1 and Victim 2, minors, who relayed information that the defendant, Jason Gumatao Bloss, had struck each of them with a green plastic pipe. Victim 1 reported that on a scale of 1 to 10, the pain was a 9. Officers noted that Victim 1 had redness on the left back thigh area and Victim 2 had slight redness to both wrists. Both victims report being afraid to be with the defendant because he sometimes hits them for no reason. The defendant is a family member to both Victim 1 and 2, defined under 9 GCA subsection 3010. Based on the foregoing, there is probable cause to charge Jason Gumatao Bloss with 2 counts of family violence as a misdemeanor.
On or about May 11, 2021, officers were dispatched to the Hava Java Cafe in Hagutnia. Officers met the owner, Carol Ann Reagan, who told officers that the defendant, Iser Answer Reynold, had threatened an employee of the cafe, Marlena Camille Cepeda. The defendant yelled, quote, "I'm going to beat her up," unquote, before kicking Cepeda in the arm. The defendant then grabbed a metal ashtray stand and threw it, striking Cepeda in the leg. Officers interviewed Cepeda, who corroborated Reagan's explanation of the events. Officers noted redness to Cepeda's left bicep area and a contusion to her right shin. Ooh, that must have hurt. Medic number 3 arrived and treated Cepeda's injuries. On or about August 10, 2022, officers were dispatched to the Plaza de España in Hagutnia. A witness on scene told officers that the defendant had attacked Bienvenido Illustre and that Illustre is deaf. The witness told officers that the defendant had thrown coconuts at Illustre, threw a bucket at him, and threatened to kill him. Officers communicated with Illustre, who informed officers that the defendant threw a 5-gallon bucket at his face, but he was able to block it with his hand. The defendant threw coconuts at his face, but Illustre dodged by ducking behind the truck. Illustre informed officers that the defendant threatened to kill him and showed the movement by slashing his neck. Officers noted injuries to Illustre's right hand. Medic number 3 treated Illustre's injuries. Based on the foregoing, there is probable cause to charge Iser Anter Reynold with 1 count of terrorizing as a 3rd-degree felony, 1 count of aggravated assault as a 3rd-degree felony, and 1 count of assault as a misdemeanor. I recognize this man. He's homeless, right? He walks around Aganya? Yeah, I recognize him. He just seemed quiet. I don't know. I never saw him. Well, it's not like I'm walking around Aganya all the time, so I just noticed him when I'm driving by.
Yeah, he did look familiar. Next, we have Max Castro. On or about August 10th, 2022, officers were patrolling on Paraiso Street in Tamuning. The officers were flagged down by a male individual, later identified as the victim, who said that he had gotten into a physical altercation with another male, later identified as the defendant, Max Castro, and that the defendant and a female individual were talking away. Officers learned that the victim is the defendant's father. The victim told officers that the defendant had been drinking for the past 2 days and that the victim told him that he had to stop drinking. The defendant became angry and punched the victim in the facial area 2 or more times before being forced out of the residence. Officers noted that the victim had injuries to his right eye and cheek area. Additionally, there was blood coming out of the victim's right nostril. When the female individual was interviewed, she corroborated the victim's explanation. Officers were unable to interview the defendant due to his highly intoxicated state. Based on the foregoing, there is probable cause to charge Max Castro with family violence as a misdemeanor and public drunkenness as a violation.
There's plenty crime on Guam. Plenty crime on Guam. And these are only the violent crimes. We didn't include the other crimes of like possession, theft, DUIs, all that. We don't care about that stuff. I do have to say something. By far, the most popular story in Kandit today, this week, the most popular story in Kandit this week is the Rowina Ogo story. And, I suppose it's because of who she is. But I want to remind everyone that the crime we have on Guam, the crime reports that we just read that was just from the past day, are way worse than the crime Rowina Ogo is alleged to have done. And so we on Guam have to be, if the people of the CNMI are concerned about a physical altercation at Herman's Bakery, then us people of Guam need to be concerned about everything else that we just read about just over the past day. The crime situation on this island is just, it's horrible, it's getting worse. And I'm really glad that you and Johnny do this daily report.
Thanks for joining me.
With this weekday report. I know, right? I'm sick. I don't even sound right.
But you know what actually that programman Panilan, that actually moved pretty swiftly. Like if you guys have kids and you have relatives watching your kids, you should sign up for that because your mom, your auntie, whatever can get paid for taking care of them.
Oh, is that the child care one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to Miguel Camacho. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Good job, Miguel Camacho.
They gave an air purifier, a laptop. What is it? It has the monitor, the keyboard, everything. That's a desktop.
Oh, desktop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With speakers. They even gave a smoke alarm, books.
Who's they?
The programming Panilan people.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Who? All right, folks. That's enough banter from us. It's your show. You close it.
Oh, so thank you for joining us, and have a great Friday. God
bless you all.
Blank.
I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
Good night.
Good night.